Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmother she was never important to me and telling my younger brother what she said? My dad and stepmother got married when I, 17 male, was 9. My brother, 15 male, was almost 7. Our mom had died 2 years before that. It was fast and all, but we did okay with it. My dad always had a bad relationship with our mom's side of the family, and when she died, he tried to cut them off from us. But our grandparents were given visitation rights, and this was before he met our stepmother. When my dad and stepmother got married, it was pretty obvious she didn't like the visitation setup. My dad and grandparents used an app, and they would ask for specific days, and he had to approve at least 3 a month. That was always how it went. We did get asked a lot when we went home if our grandparents had mentioned our stepmother at all, and if they said mean stuff about her. We always told them our grandparents didn't talk about her at all and rarely mentioned Dad. We'd go there and do fun stuff, and sometimes we'd do something to remember Mom. But what they pictured those visits as was so totally different than what they really were. Mother's Day was a pretty bad day each year with that. My grandparents got Mother's Day the second year after Mom died, and just before Dad's wedding. They'd ask for it every year, and my dad and stepmother didn't want us to go. But once Dad asked if we wouldn't rather spend that day with him and stepmother instead of grandparents, and I said I liked being with Mom's family, and my brother felt the same. So my dad approved it every year. My stepmother always hated it. They use an app for it, and it has its own calendar, and once the day has been approved, my dad can't reverse it unless my brother and I were sick. A while ago, my dad approved a date, and then realized a few hours later it was my stepmother's birthday. She was angry, and while I was at my grandparents', which my dad and stepmother didn't know, she called and told them they had to give up the day and why. They refused. She went on this long rant about how she's tired of them acting like they should get any time with us, and how they don't realize she's the most important woman in our lives. And she was equally, if not more important than Mom ever was, because we were so young when she died. She told my grandparents they were nothing, and sooner or later, they would realize she would always come before them with us. It pissed me off. She had no idea I was there, or that I could hear her talk to my grandparents like that. But I went home, and I started yelling at her that I heard everything, and how much she sucked for talking to them like that. Then I told her she was never important to me, and she would never ever come before them. I said she's not my mom, and I never even saw her as family. And I said if her and Dad ever divorced, I wouldn't stay in touch with her, because she was never actually important. She was just there. My brother got home from his friend's house, and I told him what she'd said. That made him angry too. When my dad got home and found out, he told me to apologize, but I didn't. We started therapy a couple of weeks ago because my dad and stepmother wanted the apology and for us to stop being different with her. They said it wasn't fair. My brother said she's not his mom either, and he wished Dad had never married her, and he hoped they'd get divorced because he didn't want to be in the same house as her anymore. This pissed my dad and stepmother off because I told him about the stuff she said. Dad told me I had ruined that relationship and had treated her badly when all she did was try to explain how she had raised us and had been a part of our life longer than Mom. And he said I took that and went nuclear on her. He said I should be more understanding than that. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know my heart goes out to you. I had a friend growing up whose mother died. It was horrific. She was like a second mom to me too. I can't imagine it firsthand. Anyways, about a year and a half later, he remarried this woman from their church. She had 2 children of her own. The new wife treated the children abominably. I hated her, and again, I was only the friend. So I'd say you are not the a-hole. You do not have to like this lady at all. You probably shouldn't go off on her. I would tell your dad first, if he listens though. If he doesn't, I would try to find a way to get out soon. Go to an away college, or move in with your grandparents. Once you are 18, you are legally an adult. Lots of love to you, hang in there. I have college plans in the works, but I might stay with my grandparents for the summer to get more space from my dad and stepmother. Not the a-hole. The fact that she asked you if they spoke badly of her is a huge clue as to how her mind works. She assumed they would trash talk her because that's what she does and would do. Maybe mention in therapy that gossip and putting down others because she's insecure is bad behavior, that you have the right to not get dragged into petty vicious gossip, and that you might have been able to develop a relationship with her if she'd approached you with positivity and treated you like an individual person, rather than trying to make you into a spy in her childish crusade against your grandparents, whom you love, and for whom you will fight since you want and need them in your life. Stepmom is a mean girl, and that's not pretty. Your dad forgot which day was stepmother's birthday? Before she got on her high horse and lectured your grandparents, she should have reflected on that. I am so sorry. Your stepmother was extremely disrespectful to your grandparents. She has no compassion. How she could have said all that to someone who had lost their daughter is beyond me. Your dad is equally culpable in that he is not standing up for the both of you and watering down what she said to make it sound less hurtful. Not the a-hole. Ask your grandparents if you can move in with them when you turn 18. You would have read enough Reddit posts to know what you need to do to get ready to move. Be there for your younger brother because they will put more pressure on him once you have moved out. Yep. But she was looking for something to blame them for. I can tell from all the times she was a part of questioning what happened when we were with our grandparents. She was waiting for something she could use as an excuse to yell at them for. What a crappy thing for her to say about being a part of your life longer than your mom. I'd really focus on that as they lay into you with this therapy and try to force you to accept her. She doesn't get to replace your mom. The fact that she wants to replace your mom makes her the opposite of motherly. Just being there doesn't mean you or your brother have to be close. When this therapy begins, I would stand firm. The more they try to force this, the more you will resist it. They don't have the right to tell you how to feel. Good luck. Thanks. I won't be in therapy for long, because as soon as my birthday comes, I'm not attending anymore. I already brought it up in front of them and the therapist. Therapy wasn't something I was on board with. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for leaving my mom's house and going to my dad's after fighting with my half-siblings about us not having the same dad? I, 16 male, have a different dad than my half-siblings. 14 male, 12 female, and 11 female. My mom is married to their dad, and the two of them act like I'm theirs, and like my dad is just some random dude I see every other week. They try downplaying the fact he's my dad, and he has 50% custody of me. I told my mom before they should cut it out, and she said I technically have 2 dads, and the one at her house is better, and I should be grateful he was willing to take me on and claim me as his. He told me I don't get to call another man dad in his house and stuff like that, which pisses me off and makes me want to do things that wouldn't be good. My half-siblings know I live somewhere else every other week, but they treat it like it's totally normal for someone to be with a non-parent half the time. They always tell me our dad lives there, and I shouldn't call someone else dad. I found photos of my dad holding me when I was born and showed them, but they still acted like it was wrong. When I was younger, because of how bad things were, I asked my dad if he was my real dad. He said he was, and reassured me that he had no doubts. But I was so frustrated by it that we did a DNA test, and it proved he is my biological dad. I never told mom or let anyone in her family know because she would lose her crap on dad if she knew. But I know 100% he's my dad, not my half-sibling's dad. And I know that being married to my mom doesn't mean he gets to push my dad out. It's getting harder to stay calm when this stuff comes up at my mom's house. Then we had an incident a couple of weeks ago, and there's trouble coming out of it. I was at my mom's house and my half-siblings wanted to do something for their dad's 40th birthday. They wanted me to buy a gift from all 4 of us, and I said no. They said he's our dad and he deserves it, and I said no, and he's not my dad. They called me a turd and made a huge deal out of me denying he's my dad. I told them they can't undo the fact my dad is my dad in every single way. I told them I don't even like their stupid dad, and to get the F away from me. The youngest went to her room, but the other 2 stayed and said I was such a jerk and so mean, and I should be better. My half-brother called me retarded and said I need to stop treating our dad like he's some random guy. He said our dad deserves way better, and he told me he wasn't going to stop and they'd steal money from me if they had to. My half-sister said they were too young to work or have their own money, and he deserved something. I said he'd get nothing, and that was too bad. So sad. They wouldn't drop it, and even tried to force their way into my room, at which point I snapped and told them to get the F away from me, and I didn't give a crap about their dad. I called him a giant territorial a-hole who can't accept his wife had a kid before she met him, and I said I'd rather be an orphan than be their dad's kid. Then I left the house and went home to my dad. He was shocked, but he helped me calm down. I refused to go back to Mom's after that. She called the police and they asked me if I'd come home, and I said not willingly. So now my mom has filed in court and wants Dad to lose custody for not making me go back. I'm also getting so much crap for leaving and for fighting with my half-siblings, and when she found out why, she told me to find my gratitude for my real dad, and she means her husband. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom sounds like a real crap. You are 16. The court will take what you want into consideration. Hopefully, you can live with your dad full-time and get away from your mom and her toxic husband and her awful brat kids. Not the a-hole. Your mom and her family have been practicing what is known as parental alienation, trying to make you see your dad as a lesser person than your stepdad. That is absolutely wrong. And if you tell the court exactly what has been going on, you will not have to return. Be sure to mention how many times you have asked them to stop denying your parentage and the fact that your stepfather won't even let you call your own father dad. Not the a-hole. Ask your dad to take you to a therapist. Their opinion can hold a lot of weight with a judge if Mom does take it to court. Mom is wrong, and pretending won't make it real. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are totally valid, and it sounds like your mom and stepdad are trying to erase your dad's role in your life, which is super unfair to you. Your half-siblings might be too young to fully understand, but it's not your responsibility to just go along with it. Good for you for standing up for yourself, even if it got heated. I hope the court listens to you, because at 16, your voice should matter in where you want to live. Not the a-hole. Your mom must be delusional, or she must have been cheating with her husband the whole time she was with your dad. If you really don't give a damn what she thinks and prefer to stay with your dad full-time, send her this posting and let the games begin. I don't care what she thinks, but I still don't think it's a good idea for her to know about the DNA test either, and I mention it in my post. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for declining to invite a woman who has called herself a total klepto into my home? I joined a women's social club 6 months ago because I've been struggling to make friends after relocating to a new-to-me city. It took me a while to warm up to the group and to connect with people I actually had anything in common with. I had to wade through a lot of Botox parties and boozy brunches to find things I was interested in. But I did, and I started coming to group events fairly often. I hang out most often with the women who like to read, do crafty things, bake, skywatch, etc. Among these women is one, I'll call her Andea, who has made several comments about how she's a total klepto. I think that she makes these comments to seem cool to the other people in the group. I reached out to some of the women I see regularly at these events and invited them over to my place to watch a TV show we'd been talking about and do crafty stuff. They were excited and agreed to come. Unfortunately, Andrea found out. I assume someone asked if she was going, and reached out to me to ask if she was invited. I considered this for a bit and then told her no, as I only had so much room at home. She didn't believe me and asked me for the real reason, saying, "I thought we got along," which, yes, is true. I told her I'm not comfortable inviting a kleptomaniac into my home, that I've worked hard to have the things I have, and it would be stupid for me to invite her knowing that she openly brags about it. She said, "Okay," very quietly. She then said, "You're painting me out to be some horrible criminal when you don't even know anything about me." I said that her being proud to call herself a klepto was all I needed to know. She said that I was a high school mean girl and ableist, I am unsure what the foundation for that statement is. This unfortunately has spilled over to the group, which is frustrating. But what has me the most surprised is that there are so many people defending her and telling me that I'm out of touch and take things too literally. Am I? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Being a thief isn't the same as being a kleptomaniac or a klepto. One of the key factors of diagnosing kleptomania, which is a legit rare mental health disorder, is the roller coaster of emotions about the theft. A kleptomaniac will not tell virtual strangers that they have stolen because the shame is physically painful to them. Andrea is the ableist for rebranding kleptomania to justify her poor behavior. I know that there are people who say they are being so OCD about something, and they just mean they're being fastidious. I'm not well versed on kleptomania, but I thought her comment might have been along those lines. Not the a-hole. Those defending her are more than welcome to have Klepto Andy in their houses. I'd say no too. She isn't entitled to an invite to your home, no matter her circumstances. People who make these comments have to learn there are consequences to their behaviors, even if she is exaggerating the issue. You aren't an ableist or high school mean girl for protecting your property. This is just so weird, because it seems like Klepto Lady is doubling down on the stealing front. I'll make jokes about setting crap on fire if I'm super frustrated, but I've never actually set crap on fire out of frustration. Why have a tee-hee-hee thief in your home? Not the a-hole. I had a girl in my sorority describe herself as a self-diagnosed klepto, and that if she saw something she liked, she just couldn't help herself, be it something at a store, on campus, or in possession of one of us. After she took it, it became her property. And heaven forbid you try to get your things back. I refused to associate with her outside of meetings. I never hung out with her, let her in my car or dorm room, never let her near my purse or jacket in group settings. She cried that I was a bully. People like them are always going to play victim. I'm very glad you're keeping your boundaries. Not the a-hole. You're right, Andrea. I don't know you that well. I only know what you've told me about yourself. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.